Well, welcome everyone. Darren Saul here, your host of Playing with Perspective, the Suspended Animation Podcast. It's episode 158, and I have the man, Kyle Spyrides, here in the house. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm good, Dazza. How you doing, mate?
Very well. And I was just actually commenting, and you've just plugged in your new mic, and the sound is so crisp. I'm very impressed. I'm jealous.
Oh, mate, silky smooth. Here we go. Caress the ears.
Well done, well done. Now, everybody out there, today we're going to have a great show because Kyle is a sensational chap and he's got a great story to tell. And we're going to be talking about how to decide your destiny. So the values imprinted in the DNA of Kyle Spyrides are of consistent self-improvement, commitment to always do your best, kindness, social responsibility, truth, and to see the heart and soul in every being. These principles have been passed down to him by angels. His grandparents, who he had no relation to, raised him as if he was their only son. With a combined 180 years of life experience, they have cemented the structures of good values into how Kyle approaches his business, his life, and his eternal growth. Kyle is an essence-capturing and soul-captivating portrait photographer who works with his clients to make sure that all their imagery truly represents their business and their most authentic selves. So, Kyle, welcome once again, my man.
Wow, what an intro, mate. Did you whip that up?
Someone must have written that for me. That's great.
Sounds good. Sounds good to me.
Well done. So, man, what a story. I mean, let's launch in. I mean, I'd love to hear about, that your story and how your grandparents had such an important, took such an important part in your life and how this all came about.
Yeah, for sure. So, originally I'm from South Africa, Johannesburg, and I spent a few years in South Africa, and I moved over to Australia when I was 2. And at the time in South Africa, I was being raised by my South African granny, and she actually had a pub and she was working around the clock in the pub. So I spent my first few years in the pub, literally kind of grabbing the mop, at 3 a.m. and different sort of things, and playing pool with all these, these patrons. And so I guess that gave me a lot of opportunity to be social and kind of get out of my, I guess, shell a bit. But it was just a lot safer to have me at the pub than have me at home. And that was the main reasoning behind it.
Nice.
And it got to the point where this one patron that would come every Saturday came up to me, and she had to kind of try and pull me in line, because what I would do is I would scream out to my granny, and I'd just go, "Granny, ice cream!" And just because I was so well spoiled by my granny that I could get away with that sort of stuff. And the patron came up to me and says, "Oh, you can't talk to your granny like that, Kyle. She's back there slaving away." And apparently, as the story goes, I turned to her and I said, "If I call my granny, she will come." So I was only a few years old, and I had that sort of, I guess, confidence. And then came to Australia, and my mum came over here, and my stepdad brought me over, and I walked up the stairs to my Australian grandparents' house, so my stepdad's parents. So walked up the stairs, and my Australian grandmother, Dinah, she saw me and she said she could see my eyes and this look in my face, like this fear and this kind of terror, kind of like, who are these people? This isn't my South African family. And she said she had this overwhelming feeling from God that she was going to be important in my life, that she was going to be really important, and it rushed right through her body. And I call her to this day, and she still brings up that story like clockwork. So it's definitely something that was imprinted on her. And years later, she was very important. Her and Clivey, my grandfather, were very important in my life.
Wow. So these are your Australian grandparents?
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha. And is that a picture of Clive behind you? Yeah.
Correct. Yes. Gotcha. I'll try and point the right way. Yes. There we go. Yeah, my brain. There we go. That side.
And that's a great photo that you took as well, didn't you?
Yeah. I was. It was. Just came back from shooting the sunset, and he came up to me and he was, "Oh, what are you doing, Kyle?" And I turned, and he had the beret on, and he's an architect, and he's designed his own house, and the light that was hitting him side light. One was hitting from the back, and one was hitting on the side of his face, and I just went, hold it, I need to take some photos. So my grandparents were the most over photographed grandparents in all of Cronulla. So there you go.
And so, just to take a little side note, when did you start, photographing? Did you start at a young age?
Probably, yeah. I mean, I started in visual arts at school. So, we had to pick up a medium. And I was like, God, I can't draw for, I don't know if I can swear here, but I can't draw for crap, and I can't, I can't paint unless I throw a few paints against the canvas. And I went, wow, this is going to end up pretty awful for my marks. And then so I went, all right, maybe I'll try photography. And I took it because I thought, oh yeah, this would be the easy option.
Yeah.
No art is easy, like,
Yeah.
especially when you've got art teachers who are really trying to get you to bring out connection and a story and meaning and aspects and then emotion. And, you're like this kid just going, I'm just trying to get through this course.
I just want to use my 30 exposures or 12 exposures of film. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So I got in at school, and I guess that's where probably the creative vision started to happen. And I had this idea, my uncle took a photograph of me, black and white photograph. And it's when I first came to Australia, and I kind of just have this like look at the camera, like kind of like that lost look.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good portrait. And I decided, all right, I'm going to take that with me, and I'm going to photograph people holding that portrait up. I'm going to call it the Lost Boy series. So that's how strange I was thinking at the age of 18, but that's what I came up with. And so, those last few years year and a half of school, I traveled back to South Africa, then I traveled to Mozambique. So I've got this chef in Mozambique holding it up. I've got like all these different people, all these different cultures. So that was how I got into it.
Wowee, unbelievable. And so now I know that, everything you do in your work and even your philosophy towards life is all about doing things according to your destiny and to your soul. So tell us more about where this all came from.
Yeah, for sure. So the word destiny, or more the Decide Your Destiny, and why I do like a Decide Your Destiny daily vlog, and like writing a book called Decide Your Destiny, is because of my grandfather. And obviously my grandparents had a big imprint in my life. They really were my parents. They raised me, so they had a lot of importance on me. And when I was about 18, I was sitting on the couch, and my grandfather looked over at me, and the sun was kissing the side of his face, and he had this kind of boyish charm, or this joy in his face. And he just said this line to me. He just said, "Decide your destiny." And I was 18 at the time, so I said, "What?" He said, "Decide your destiny." And I went, "What are you saying, Clive?" And because it was just quiet, we're sitting in the lounge room. And he said, "Make sure in your life that whatever you do, you decide your destiny." And when you don't hear something at the time, but later on, it's kind of like that ringing in your ears. Yeah. And so then it kind of popped up for me later on in my life. And when I had to make serious decisions, with my heart health and the directions that I had to take, and decisions I had to make, and where I was going to go. And every decision is about the longevity, and things are so sensitive with your heart. So it's, it can get very overwhelming, and there's so many intricate details about it that you find out new things and new possible complications and concerns every time you go in. And so, it can get weighty, it can get overwhelming, it can get like you're fighting an uphill battle, and you're just, you're just trying to breathe, to breathe. So I think that Decide Your Destiny allowed me to take more power and control over my life, where I felt for most of my life that my life was being dictated for me.
Yep. And you do seem to me like now that you really are, you have balance.
Yeah. Yes.
You really seem that you have balance, and you're calm, and you're in control, and you don't seem like the world and the pressures of the world are kind of throwing you from one direction to another, which I admire. It's amazing. Is that
Thanks,
part
mate.
of is that something that's just happened over the years and something that you've worked on?
Yeah, for sure. And it's definitely not every day. I wake up
Sure.
like a Buddhist monk. It's
Sure.
it's it's stuff you have to put in daily. But yeah, definitely. I think life experience really shapes you, and
Yep.
I think how it works is that you're given life experience, and
Yep.
then it's gone. Okay, here you go. Now you decide what way you take it. You decide what you do with it. This is the raw materials of your life that you have to contend with.
Yep.
Now, what are you going to do? So,
Yep.
you know, I'd love to say that I just grabbed the opportunity and ran for it, but obviously, there's many ups and downs and some dark moments that you got to kind of come through and work through.
Yeah, sure, sure. Can you tell us a bit more about that journey and how you say here you healed your own heart?
Yeah. I'll go into the details definitely. So, yeah, so about not long after my grandfather actually said that to me, about 2 months after I left school, I was coming home from the gym. I was very big into the gym at that time, and I had my eyes set on playing rugby. Like that was my life pretty much sorted. I'd worked that much out for myself, and so I'd play rugby on Saturday and Sunday, and I would be at the gym all the time and crunching through protein any chance I got. So it was a pretty one dimensional life. So I came home from the gym one night and had a good session and sat on the couch, turned the tunes on, and there was Independence Day. I went, oh wow, okay, this is going to be a good night in. Let's watch some aliens and fighter jets. And all of a sudden, I got really really hot. So I just stripped off all my clothes, stripped off everything. I sat there stark naked on the couch,
Wow.
and then the split second later, I got really really cold, and I had to chuck doona and everything, doonas and blankets, everything on me. And that was the first kind of something strange is going on here. Next night, I went to get some ice from the fridge, some water, and I collapsed on the tiles, and I just laid there for 20 minutes. And so I kept getting more and more sick, and I got taken to a doctor. Doctor said, look, I think you've got gastro. Take these tablets. You should be fine. Went home, took the tablets, threw up, and I went, all right, something's seriously wrong here. Like I need to be taken to the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I got taken to my down to Cronulla because I wasn't at Cronulla at the time, and then my grandmother took me to my uncle. There were quite a few pit stops on the way to the hospital, and he looked at me coming down the hallway, and he just went, and he's a chiropractor, but he had a lot of knowledge in virology and different sort of modalities and different sort of things, and he just saw in my demeanor, he goes, this kid's got a virus, like take him to the hospital straight away. Take him to a doctor. If the doctor doesn't take him to the hospital, then you guys take him there. So I went to my local doctor in Cronulla. Lovely man, been going to him for years, and he gave me this book at one point titled Hope, and in that book there were lovely landscapes and quotes, of hope. So saw him, and he said, Kyle, 10 years earlier when I was in hospital, I was studying like a lot of stuff, from hospital, and I noticed this thing, and you've got the same thing.
Good.
And so I went, what is it? He said, the dots on the ends of your fingers, he said, means that you've got a bug eating your heart.
Oh God.
So I was so out of it at that time. I was so sick, and when you're really sick, it's kind of like a big vignette. You're not really there, so you're like, oh, okay, continue on. They chuck me in an ambulance. They rush me to the hospital. I'm at the hospital now, and I say, to my family, I said, I can't excrete. I've been trying to excrete. I can't excrete.
Wow.
And they, the nurse comes over and says, what the hell are you doing? You're supposed to be through to ICU. You weren't supposed to be left down here. The reason you can't excrete is your organs are literally shutting down.
Whew.
So I got rushed through to this other room. And then the cardiologist said, all right, we're going to put this pipe down your throat and you're going to go to sleep now. And again, I was so sick. So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, sounds dandy. And they knocked me out, put me into an induced coma. And this is where the story takes a turn. And the cardiologist said to my mother, my grandmother, and funnily enough, my South African grandmother was over at the time, and just said to, I guess the three wise women said to the three women, said, Kyle's got this 3 centimeter bug eating it at his heart, and most likely he's not going to make it through the night. Either way, and but I suggest we try and operate and see what we can we can do. But he said, either way, I don't really think he's going to make it through. So I really thank my mother for this decision. She called my stepfather, who at the time was living in Ireland.
Right.
Told him everything, and he was a chiropractor as well, but he had a lot of understanding in natural health care and different sort of modalities, and he'd helped people out in the past here and there. So she called him and told him everything, and I believe that he, he's got, like, some people have got a gift. I think he's got some sort of gift where he can kind of get into some sort of communication or just feel something, and he said, look, you're there, you make the decision. You've got all the information there. You're on site there. But my opinion would be, don't let them operate. He's too weak. Let them just put him in an induced coma, and let him wake up, and let him wake up naturally. So that's what they did. They put me in induced coma. I woke up about a week later, pipes in my body everywhere, all this sort of stuff. Had Weet-Bix straight away and vomited the Weet-Bix back on my hospital gown. And it was just a mess. And so my stepfather had flown over from Ireland and came up had been flown over and came up and saw me and said, Kyle, this is the situation. This is the information. And he basically said to me, we need to do something about it, because any moment, you could be kaput. You got this 3 centimeter bug eating the hole into your mitral valve. They don't know how it got there. They did a bunch of tests. They couldn't find out. And they basically said it was just a 1 in a billion chance that this happened to you. So, this is what you got to deal with right now. So, he said, look, this is this is all the medical paperwork, read through it with him. This is everything that's going to happen. What they're going to have to do is actually cut a big chunk of your heart off and put a metal attachment on. And this is how your life's going to be compromised. I was 18 at the time, and I said, this is how it's going to go. And he said, there is another option. And I want you to be totally informed of both sides, and then you make the decision. And so I said, okay, tell me about this. And he said, there's this thing called the alkaline diet, and it's basically a juice fast. Right. And the base premise of it is that through the juice fast, you starve the body of any sugars, any carbohydrates, anything that will sustain the bug. Yep. So you change the inner ecosystem of the body.
Gotcha.
And for me, I was like, well, all I know is, 6 eggs make big biceps. Like,
That's a steak.
Yeah, exactly. Lots of steak and all that sort of stuff. I'm not too sure about this jazz, So I was like, all right, and he was telling me about it. I went, look, I trust you as a man. You've always done right by me. Let's give this a whirl. Let's give it a go. So, which is a pretty, risky thing. And, full disclosure, I'm not telling anyone what to do with their life. And, most people probably wouldn't have made that decision, but I just felt that I really strongly trusted the man. And I said, yeah, let's try this alkaline diet. Let's see if we can get rid of it naturally first. Wow. Which is so foreign to our societies. But when you go to places like Peru, it's like the port of call. Obviously not if you've chopped your arm off or there's something, serious, but usually it's natural first, and then we'll see, because the problem with medical is there's no real going back in a lot of ways. So with things like, not in everything, but with this situation, it was literally cutting part of my heart off. So it's a pretty serious decision to just go, yep, let's go ahead with that. So I thought, all right, let me give the natural way a go, see if this works. I believed in him. I wasn't totally sure if it would work, but then we started on beetroot juices and salads, and all I had was juice and salad and vitamins and all sorts of stuff. And I was starting to do visualizations. So I was learning about the heart, learning all about the heart, where the valve was, where everything was. And I was doing it in the shower, obviously, because I was a bit nervous about, what people might think at the time. Sure. And I was doing that, and I was just going, heal. I was listening to meditations. My grandmother gave me a lot of meditation, old tapes. So there was a lot of peaks and valleys. That's all I remember. And I think I had my 19th birthday in hospital. So I was allowed a slender slice of watermelon as my cake. So,
oh my God.
So it was serious. And I went from 95 kilos of pure muscle. I was really built for rugby.
Yeah.
And I went down in the space of 2 weeks, went down to like 77 kilos and could see my ribs. And first time I ever had a six pack. So I was like, well, it's pretty cool. Like,
Yeah, where'd you come from?
Yeah, where'd you come from? Hello. so
Wow.
yeah, and during the process, the cardiologist came through and said, all right, we're going to operate. And we said, well, hold the bus. What does the size of the bug need to get down to till it's not a non-issue?
Yeah.
And he said, he wouldn't tell us, and it was like pulling teeth. We're like, just tell us, please. And Ward was there asking the right questions. Eventually, he said, look, if it gets down to 0.5 centimeters, then it's a non-issue. But it's at 3 centimeters at the moment. There's no way it's going to get down.
Right.
And so we went, okay, great, that's the focus. And then he walked down in huff and puff, and then and I realized a few different things. Like nurses were threatening to throw my vitamins in the bin. They were saying, why am I not listening to Prof? Who do I think I am? Taking my health into my own hands. And for me, I grew up just thinking, every doctor's good, every fireman's good, every policeman's good. Like very, I guess, not aware of how the world works in all its specific ways and different reasonings. Obviously, from their side, they knew how they could help me, and maybe they were feeling offended or something. So it was quite a shocking time in all aspects,
and a lot to take on. For one person to make this at a young age to make a decision like that. It's a tough decision to make.
Yeah. And with more than half your family saying, what are you doing? With everyone in the hospital saying, what are you doing? Your friends, it's pretty wild.
And obviously you just listened to what was inside of you. Your inner voice told you this is the direction, and that's what you're going to do.
Exactly. Otherwise, you live out a fake human being. You're not really living out who you are in your true essence. And I think that's what and long story short, I actually, at the 3-week mark, he came in. He said, "Are we going to operate?" And we said, "Whoa, hold the bus again. What's the size of the bug?" And he said, and he wouldn't give it to us. And we pulled teeth. Eventually, he said, "Look, it's at 0.2 centimeters." And we looked over the paperwork, and we went, "Oh my God, we got rid of this. Like, we healed it." And then so he kind of got upset, left. I eventually left that hospital, and the relationship was that far deteriorated that I had this register that would always come up to me, and we had a great relationship. So he worked under the cardiologist, and as I was leaving, being pushed out in the wheelchair, I felt this hand on my shoulder, and I turned over my shoulder, and he said, the register was there, and I said, "Oh, I'm going. I'll see you later." He said, "Oh, look, I'm just here to deliver a message. Prof wants you to know that your lungs are going to be full of blood. You're going to choke to death within 2 months of leaving this hospital. You're going to die in your sleep."
Oh my God.
And I just started crying, and the person pushing me in the wheelchair, I just said, just keep going, like, get me out of here. So it was very hostile. I eventually went to a new cardiologist, started working with that one, and basically what happened is the bug had eaten part of the valve, so the valve wasn't closing properly. Right. So over a longer period of time, that's not good. The blood's leaking out of your heart. So I had to work out how I was going to repair the valve, because obviously I didn't want to replace it. And in the hospital, there was 0% chance. Straight away when I went to this new cardiologist, there was suddenly a 30% chance. And then I kept trying to work on my health, and every few months I would go back. He said, "Oh, look, the size of your heart, now there's a 50% chance." And eventually he said there's a 70% chance. Wow. And so I went, all right, called Ward, said, "What do we do?" He said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I think it's time to go in for the op." And then I went in and I had open heart surgery. They basically cut your chest, crack you open. You're pretty much dead for about 5 hours. They turn your heart off pretty much, and then they cut into your heart, and then they repaired my heart valve. So I woke up screaming, and I was screaming. I was screaming, "Repair or replacement, repair or replacement." That's how focused on this goal that I was. And I was just waking up screaming, and someone grabbed my hand and they said, "Oh, it's a repair, Kyle, it's a repair." And I wouldn't say the words I said, but I was just losing my head. I was swearing, and in the middle of ICU, and had 3 pipes just underneath my ribs, had this basically to bring your chest together, they put wires into your bone, and just had all this sort of stuff everywhere. And
oh my God.
Yeah, and that was the journey. That was me at 20. So
20 years old. My God.
Yeah.
Wow. And then I can imagine, that going through that has changed your life in terms of how you think.
Yes.
How could
definitely.
it not?
Yeah, definitely. It's Yeah, I think one of the biggest takeaways, and thinking of people listening right now, that I really have probably is, it's something similar to memento mori, like remember you'll die, but it's more, you know, when I'm getting tired or I'm feeling a bit lazy or I'm going, I've done enough here, and I'm saying in the moment I've done enough, but I know down the track I'll be upset that I haven't done enough, and I know I had more in me.
Yeah.
Um, and I just kind of reflect and I go, hey, like I've got this heartbeat. How unreal is that? Like I've got this moment. Like let's keep pushing. So
Wow, man.
yeah,
It's phenomenal. Like perspective is such a powerful thing.
yes, yeah,
Like
exactly. Yeah,
perspective, and we all take it for granted. We just take it for granted. But you know, you
yeah,
obviously are much more aware of that word, and you live that every day, and you use that to fuel you.
yeah, yeah. But and the thing is, it's our brains are, as we all know, is like negatively geared,
That's
to,
right.
to protect us
That's right.
from when we had to run from saber-tooth tigers and
That's right. Yeah.
and whatever. So it's not. I think it's not enough for me to just go, yep, sort of done a bit of a course here, a bit of training here, a bit of training there. I think it's sustained effort,
Yeah.
and just keep reminding yourself and keep changing your perspective, because all of our brains will go down that
Sure.
sort
It's
of
it's
way.
natural. It's biology.
Yeah,
It's physiology.
yeah,
It's how your brain's built.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But it's
Yeah.
to master it. That's the hard part. So I take my hat off to you, man. Well done.
Thanks, mate. Thanks.
That's incredible. What a story.
Yeah,
Wow. And
yeah.
and how is that? How have your relationships changed with people, with friends, family, loved ones? Are you different into how you act in that respect, or is it just every day as it comes?
Yeah, I mean, I think first off, the relationship with the new cardiologist started off on an interesting foot. When I went to the new cardiologist, we started speaking about our experience with this old cardiologist in the hospital.
Right. Yeah.
And my family was saying, like family that were on both sides were saying, it was terrible how we treated all this sort of stuff. And he said to us, look, I play golf with that guy on the weekends. I don't want you to say anything. I don't want to hear anything bad about him. And then my family started to arc up even more. And I just said, everyone out of the room. I just need one person on my side. I don't care. I just need one. I just need, to start moving forward here. So I had to kind of just focus on that relationship. And I developed a pretty good relationship with my second cardiologist.
Wow.
He seemed to really like me and take me on in like kind of like it was a weird, like kind of a bit like a father role or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he would ask me about my relationships and
Okay.
he'd talk about his younger relationships. And yeah, it was really nice in that setting. And one of the things he told me pretty early on was, because of this life experience, just be aware that the friends that you normally hang around, you're probably going to, lose traction with them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was true. Like it was pretty compelling at the moment, at the time, but it was really true, because it was just the way you looked at life. Like you said, perspective was totally different.
Everything. Yeah.
I was like, wow, like I've been fooling around, playing around as a teenager
Yep.
in high school, all this sort of stuff. And my friends are set on playing around and fooling around for the next 10 years. Well, let me get involved in life and see what I can create, see what I can muster up, see who I really am,
Yeah.
see what I can find out about myself. So yeah, so I think that, came about. That was interesting. My relationships kind of petered off.
Yep.
And because, partying and a lot of the kind of not so great things that come from that in terms of your health, probably not the greatest way to go for my heart and looking after my heart for the rest of my life. So yeah, in a lot of ways, it was like the worst time of my life, but a lot of ways it was given a gift, to really focus on my health. And then that in turn, Darren, I think allowed me to focus on who I drew into my life, and went, all right, I'm going to draw people in my life that are going to be good for my heart, because I had other people. And one of the reasons I actually think I got sick was because of the emotional baggage that I was holding, and the emotional like harm and kind of abuse that I had for many years. So pushing all that down, I think, like emotions can really affect our health. Like look at what happens when we get stressed out, our heart rate goes up, everything. So for me, that's yeah, like that kind of was like, okay, I need to get rid of those relationships that aren't really serving, or just keep them at a distance and focus on bringing in people that are going to be good for my heart, and that I can also be good for their heart. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's what I did.
Wowee, what a story, man. So as you say, you've healed your own heart, and it can also be used in a metaphoric sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
and,
Many dichotomies. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And so, are you writing a book about your journey?
Yes. Yes. So in the book, it goes through the younger years, the kind of, I guess, the tougher time I had as a younger kid, the emotional baggage, the abuse, all that sort of stuff going through, and then coming to that point where all of a sudden, I think I know who I am at the age of 18 with all my identities that I've attached myself to,
Yeah.
and then the rock, the carpet pulled underneath my feet with that heart story, and then going through that. And obviously it doesn't end there, like with I think, like we're saying about perspective and your mindset.
Sure.
It's something that you coach along for the rest of your life. So going through that journey, and then kind of really focusing on creating something that's a transformative, like nonfiction, that can help people and assist in people's day-to-day and the way that they take charge of their lives. So yeah, that's what it's in the editing process, so it's in the editor's hands, so it's
fantastic. Well done.
going through that. So exciting times.
How long have you been writing that for?
Yeah, it's been focused. It's been about a year.
Right.
So been about a year, and probably putting things together has been since I was a teenager. I would hear things, or like I'd always love having conversations with people that were older than me, not just a few years older, like 30 years older, 40 years older, and being around my grandparents. So I would always just like write things down and just take notes of things and just try and remember things and just collect information that I think that information could be used to improve my life. So for a while I've kind of taken things in, and then that's even, the last year is about trying to formulate that into something that can be packaged and sent and touch someone else's hearts and souls.
Unbelievable. Well done. And tell us a bit about your photography and how that all feeds into everything you do. Obviously you've chosen that as a career path as well from a young age, and you have a particular spin on how you photograph.
Yeah, for sure. So, I went through, did my diploma, got into the photography, worked it all out, and then realized, okay, you need to have some sort of business behind this, if you're going to make this a reality. And I didn't necessarily believe in it. It took someone else to believe in me and believe that I could make this some sort of reality. And then I started along that journey. But probably what I found early on was my focus was capturing the soul and essence of people. So really diving deep and capturing the soul and essence. And that came from my diploma gallery showing, which was focused for the year on capturing portraits of my family around my grandparents' house.
Nice.
And so what I would do is I would, have the controllables were the same. So like any experiment, have the controllables the same. And then, so the house, natural light, different sort of things. And all portrait. And then I just went, all right, I'm just going to communicate with these people. And there's going to be a certain flicker of a moment where they expose their soul, they expose their true essence. Yeah. And I feel like that is something that I didn't write out a business plan to go and do or anything. I just kind of connected to that and jumped aboard. So, I would love shooting my grandparents and my cousins who are like, kids, because they show their soul, they show who they are. Kids just go, this is me, effing take it or leave it.
No layers. Yeah. It's just pure and innocent. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. And then like elderly people, they get to the point where they're like, yeah, this is me. This is what it's going to be like, so, and obviously that's not every old person, every young person, but that's what I kind of found. And then in the middle, like photographing teenagers, my teenage cousins, it would be, like 2 hours to try and get that shot, or, be an hour and a half. And just like the amount of veils or facade or, society pressures that was on them of who they had to be, and, focus on their identity politics or their, what they attach themselves to, rather than just having a conversation, being in the present moment, and then eventually unraveling who they were. I think that took a lot more time, because of, and that happens to all of us as we go through as a teenager. we go, I do this, so this must mean I assimilate with this, and I don't like that. You know,
So true.
it's like, gosh, is that all you are as a being? So
So true.
yeah,
So
yeah,
true. And then later on in life, a lot of the times we start to reassess all that again, and we think, what have we actually been doing? What's actually important to us? You know,
yeah,
because we've gone down this path in automatic pilot.
yes, yeah. And there's a ton of unlearning
Mm.
required.
Unlearning.
Right?
I love that. That's so
Yeah,
true. Unlearning.
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. Yep.
yeah. But
Wow.
yeah, I love my photography though. It's I think it's a portal to be able to connect to another soul. I
Yep.
think that's what I like about it.
So true. I mean, I'm also a photographer, and
Yes.
I love just being able to be in a room with a camera and being able to observe and being a fly on the wall. And
Yeah.
it's almost like my meditation as well. It's very meditative.
Yeah. It is. It is. Hey, it really, and if you're going through like some hard times,
Mm.
just picking that camera up and just going for a walk can be like
Yeah.
so healing. Like there's
So
something
true.
incredible about it.
Because there's something amazing when you put that camera in front of you. It's almost like you're there now to actively observe. Whereas
Yeah.
when you don't have a camera, you get sidetracked and you're not in the moment. But your
Yes.
camera puts you in the moment, and you stay in the moment because you're actively trying to execute some sort of vision. So that's what I love
Exactly.
about photography. It forces you to be an active observer and actually be in the moment for longer.
Yeah. And interact with the world. Like
That's
that's
right.
what on a deeper level, like my grandfather, he was an architect, and he would be at the back of the room when there were family gatherings, and he would just kind of sit there and he'd just observe. And it was just so interesting to see that aspect of him. And then, but if he wanted to be the limelight, or if the time called for him to be the limelight, he'd be the limelight, or he'd get involved. But he would
That's right. But
he
you don't
would he
have
would
to.
observe. Yeah, yeah. He was very good at that observation, and he was the happiest soul that I ever met. And I think that observation part of it was something that was really amazing to him, because he really observed people and observed everything around him. And I think if you can get to that, and also to the point where, like you're noticing things and you're mentioning things and people go, oh, you noticed that? Oh, wow. Like, and you picked that up, or you saw
Yeah.
that. And it's like, oh, cool. I'm kind of playing along with this life thing.
Absolutely. And as a photographer, you have to notice things before they happen. You have to be
Yeah.
ready for things to happen. So you have to be
Yes.
so in tune with your environment and
Yes.
the other person or the other people. So it really puts you in that space. It's an active process and something that you learn and get better at.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So
Like the active listening for the eyes.
it is really fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so what kind of photography do you specialize in? Obviously a lot of portraits, but do you do other stuff as well?
Yeah, so I think as once you get in, it's like another world opens up to you. Like you go into a parallel universe. You're like, whoa, okay, like I can do everything, and there's so many facets of photography under that one umbrella. So
Definitely.
yeah, so I went through quite a lot of them, and at one point I was just taking photographs of people for their first birthday and all these sorts of different sort of funny things, and eventually just focus on branding photography. And I think my inspiration of small business and passion of small business, and I think the power of small business to support economies and countries, and also keep in check some of the bigger corporations, hopefully, and governments and different sort of things. I think the power of small business is there, and I think they really do get, how do I say, they don't get free passes, or like I won't look that way. Like small businesses really do get hammered in a lot of ways. And I think the people that run small businesses are resilient people. And so,
definitely.
I'm very passionate about how can I help them? How can I add value? How can I, increase their ROI? How can I connect? How can I grab what they have, the value they have, convert that into a visual element, and represent that online so that people can see that. And because we receive images and visual information so much faster and in so much more depth. And so I think that's my biggest focus, business branding photography. And I love, obviously that allows me to take lots of portraits and connect with people, which is still good.
Do you do video as well, or just photo?
Yeah, I do a bit of video.
Video
So
as well. Okay, great.
yeah.
That's
So
something that I've
done,
never done. I'm useless to taking video. So you're the man.
Yeah. No. Well, it's it's different. different learnings, but it's funny how much it can kind of correlate and how many different things you can apply to video. But then there's definitely so many different, like, like there's people that are just audio professionals and they get paid a lot of money because yes, audio is like another thing, like, it's just, so I think, so and one of the reasons I did video as well was to capture my grandparents' story.
Nice.
So my grandfather started to get ill a couple of years ago. And so I went back, in the space of a year, quite a few times to Sydney. And I just, sat down with my grandparents and listened to their story and captured their story and asked them questions. And the most remarkable things came out of that. And then I started this venture of going, okay, let me turn that into a service. And obviously tried to launch that right around 2020. And the service was to go into retirement villages and capture elderly people's stories. Wow. And so that's, like a journal, a life journal. So, that's, I think, where video and photo can just be incredible tools,
Definitely, and a picture tells 1,000 words without a doubt. I mean,
yes,
images are so powerful. They're so important, whether it's video images or still images. They are just so important, particularly these days with everything we do and with social media. I mean, you really have to have good imagery. Yeah,
and something that connects and like you said, like says all those words and compels. And when I was over there with my grandfather, all the family asked for the shot over my shoulder, and they said, like, where's that shot? And I was like, my hard drive's in Perth, like, like, and they go, we need to find that shot. We need to put that up everywhere. That's Clive. And people were like saying, when I see that image, it's like he's here with us. That captured who he is, and so
that's nice.
Like that's the power,
Well done. And so, have you got any great case studies for us about your photography? Anything that you're working on at the moment? Any great success stories?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one thing that I'm working on at the moment is capturing portraits and kind of having information. So attaching the blog to that information.
Gotcha.
So kind of having the photo and then the story. So there's a great website called, I think it's Humans of New York.
Yeah,
and
it's a famous
yes,
book. Also, he's a photographer that went around taking photos. Yep.
Exactly. So I always really liked that idea, and I kind of wanted to kind of go a bit deeper into it. This is the role you play in the world. This is your job. This is everything, but like the deeper story. So that's something that I'm teetering with at the moment. So like doing a photo, and then have like a little blog section for the person. I've already done that with a few people in the past.
Nice.
But as you know, time and everything else you're doing.
Yep.
But and then at the moment, I'm just focusing on, delivering photography, how I've been delivering it. One thing that I did bring out recently, and obviously perfecting that and finessing that. One thing I brought out recently was a course helping people capture photographs professionally with their phone.
Nice.
So
Love it.
This came through like, the multiple lockdowns and being a completely service-based business and and that bashing you around a bit. You got to kind of think what else you can do. So at the start, I got a lot of contact from clients saying, how can I take images of my products while you're not around? How can I take photographs of my, like, how can I keep my content going?
Great. Love it.
So and everyone's on their phones. So, and at home, this is a great time. And so I started creating this in 2020 and I've just launched it. And, it's really focused for those business owners that can't always have a photographer there all the time, that are on the move and just want to capture those moments. And, a lot of people that have kind of gone into the course have just been hobbyists. So,
Wow, that's awesome. Well done. I mean, more and more these days, that's a skill that needs to be harnessed. And the technology is there with all the new versions of the phones that are coming out and 3 lenses on each phone. And I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the quality of the cameras, they're just insane.
Yes, and they're incredible. And the thing is, I think one thing that always gets lost is the learning the skill.
Yep,
and
definitely.
I think that's, you go back way back in the day where people were using cameras that had the quality of, maybe an iPhone 6 or 3 or something like that.
Yep.
But they took the most magnificent images.
So
and
true.
it's because they only had so much film. They only had, so many, and they had to make the most of it.
Yep.
Where now I think there's more photographers, but I don't think there's more brilliant photographers. I think back then there were more brilliant photographers. Not saying that there's not amazing photographers out there right now. There are, but it's just the kind of, the harder way of capturing images really, built in the disciplines of what it takes to create an amazing image.
Definitely. And as you say, it's about how you train your eye. It's how you work with people. It's everything you do before you even lift the camera to take a shot. Photography is not about clicking the button. It's about everything else you do before you click the button.
Yes, exactly. I spend a lot of the time like pulling my head away from the camera, communicating, and then quickly as I can, bang. The technology would be amazing if I could do it with my eye. I'd be able to nail so many more shots. But that's the future.
Oh, well done, man. And what about weddings and stuff? Do you ever do weddings and big functions like that?
Yeah, I do weddings, and I've never had a bridezilla, touch wood. So I think that keeps me happy to do the odd wedding here and there. Because I hear some photographers that have said, I had a bridezilla and I'm off weddings now for life. So, but I've been good, touch wood.
That's great. Well done.
But yeah, product photography, different sort of things like that. I really do enjoy product photography sometimes, because then it's just like, you can move away from people for a little while. You just need a bit of space on your own.
I don't want anything take a break. I don't want to do with anything that talks back. Just relax.
Yeah. Send me the products.
Yeah.
In the mail. Make it snappy. Sweet.
Oh, well, man, and maybe tell everybody how they can find you and work with you.
Yeah, for sure. So my photography website is soulgazingphotography.com, and that's where you can kind of see some of my work and get in touch. On Instagram, same thing, Facebook. And then Kyle Spyrides is where I'm on for the inspirational stuff that I do, the daily videos on YouTube, Kyle Spyrides, and they're called Decide Your Destiny Daily Doses. And so, yeah, that's where you can find me on those channels.
And those daily doses, they're on YouTube. Are they on Facebook as well? Or?
Yes, yeah, I pump them out on Facebook and Instagram as well. And so, put them around the social media sphere.
Nice. All right, excellent. Well, everybody out there, I hope you've enjoyed Kyle as much as I have. That was an incredible conversation, and so heartfelt and so true. And I admire you so much for everything that you do and continue to do. And you're an inspiration. So, man, really appreciate you coming on the show. And your photography is fantastic. So everybody out there, from one photographer to another, and I can say this because he's in Perth, he's not in Sydney.
Yes.
So if you need a good photographer out there, talk to Kyle. He's the man, and he'll definitely look after you, and you'll have a great experience working with him as well. Absolutely.
Thanks, Dazza. Appreciate it. Really appreciate it, mate. And love back to you as well.
Awesome, man. And I always ask my guests to leave us with some powerful message or something that's on your mind. So last words are yours.
Sure. So I guess probably already said it, but focusing on your intention in life and what you're showing up each day to do and why you're doing it is so important to kind of have that feedback that keeps you going. Otherwise, at a certain point, you'll just go, what am I doing? So really digging deep into your heart and soul, and what are the things that I'm here doing? What's the value? What are the gifts that I'm bringing out of myself? What really makes me feel rushed with passion? And yeah, you're not going to feel rushed with passion every day. I didn't, like neither of us have felt that every single day.
It would be nice, but it doesn't happen.
No, but try and find that thing that does really give you that passion and give you that feedback, and really work into it and embrace it with every heartbeat. That's what I'd say.
True, man. Love it, because it's got to be sustainable. It's got to be long-term. Short-term gains never last.
No.
It's all
too
about
true.
Long-term sustainability. So Kyle, thank you again for coming on the show. Everybody out there, I'm going to put all those great links to all of Kyle's great stuff in the show notes. So please check him out. And as I mentioned, check out his daily dose. If you need some photography done, talk to Kyle, and also look out for his book. Well done. So everybody out there, have a great day, and we'll see you very, very soon for another episode. Thanks again, Kyle.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Cheers,